Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. Kevin Byard, the superstar safety for the Tennessee Titans, was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. In exchange, the Tennessee Titans received 2024 5th and 6th round picks, as well as the number 1 Eagles safety, Terrell Edmonds. While I was surprised by the trade itself, given that Kevin Byard has a couple years left on his contract, and I hadn't heard anything in the rumor mill, as well as the fact that the Tennessee Titans could still technically compete for the division crown. But this trade isn't that surprising when you look at it, because it's basically the Titans saying, okay, we have brought ourselves to the fact that we are not going to compete this year. When you watch that Titans team, they should be better with the weapons they have, and yet they're just not. Ryan Tannehill's aging. Derrick Henry's aging. DeAndre Hopkins has definitely aged when you watch him. The defense is still pretty good, but it's not amazing. The offensive line is abysmal, and Treylon Burks, number 2 receiver, just has yet to break out despite being a 2022 first-round pick. All in all, this Titans team hasn't been amazing this year, so it does make sense to start trading away some of your weapons. Starting with Kevin Byard. From the Eagles' perspective, this trade makes tons of sense. The Eagles lost star safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson in free agency this past year. C.J. was someone who they had traded for right before the 2022 season started, in actually quite a similar deal, and I'll get into that more in a moment. C.J. broke out with the Eagles after only being the 3rd safety on the Saints the entire time. He became a superstar in Philly, and he ended up leaving in free agency with not as big of a contract as I would have expected. Now they acquired an even better safety in Kevin Byard, who is my 4th ranked safety after only Derwin James, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Justin Simmons. Kevin Byard is 4th on that list, and the Eagles just got him. And only for a 5th and 6th round pick, which is pretty good value. They also lost, as I mentioned, Terrell Edmonds, whom they signed from Pittsburgh to attempt to replace a bit of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Terrell Edmonds is more of a number 2 safety. He is a good safety. He's solid, but he's never going to be a superstar. He's never a star number 1 safety. So it made sense for the Eagles to trade him away because they have other safeties. They have Reed Blankenship, who is another good number 2 safety. They had like 3 or 4 number 2 safeties. They just didn't have a star guy, whom they now got in Kevin Byard. The Titans have 2 number 2 safeties, is what I'd say, because Amani Hooker, who was their number 2 safety, is pretty good. He is a good number 2 safety, as is Terrell Edmonds. But they don't have any superstars there anymore. But that's fine, because they can slowly start getting away with some of their aging veterans, including Kevin Byard. I do think the Titans could have gotten a bit more compensation in return, however. Given that, Kevin Byard is not a free agent after this season, which means they should have him for a couple of years. He's not on an amazing contract, but he's not on an awful contract either. He's still on an affordable contract. And like I mentioned earlier, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was traded to the Eagles from the Saints for a 5th and 6th round pick. And a 7th round pick came along with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Obviously, there's a bit more involved in the Kevin Byard deal. You subtract the 7th round pick and throw in Terrell Edmonds on the Eagles side. But even still, that's not that much, given how much better C.J. Gardner-Johnson at the time was just a slot safety. He looked fine, he looked like he had plenty of potential, but he hadn't shown any of it. While Kevin Byard is a known superstar. So I think the Titans could have pushed a bit more. Maybe gotten a 4th round pick, maybe a 4th and 6th round pick, or 4th and 5th even if they really tried. But it's still not a bad deal for the Titans. They still got some picks in return for an aging veteran who's not going to be on the team when they're competitive again. The only part that annoys me is the fact that I made a video of trade candidates just the other day, and it had way too many safeties on it. 4, I believe. Eddie Jackson, Harrison Smith, Budda Baker, and Justin Simmons. And yet it didn't have Kevin Byard. After all that, someone gets traded right after I make that video, and it's a safety, which I had a lot of in that video, but not one of the 4 I had. This symbolizes a lot for the Titans, because it's showing that, like I said earlier, they are not looking to compete this year, which means that maybe they'll look to trade away some more of their players. Derrick Henry, for example, is a pending unrestricted free agent, and he could definitely have takers from some running back injury-riddled teams. Even Ryan Tannehill could be in question, while his ankle injury does hinder that a bit. If the Titans are going, screw it, let's just run with Will Levis, see how he plays, and look for the future, then yeah, maybe someone like the Jets or Falcons with a struggling quarterback could look to take on Ryan Tannehill. I can't see them trading any of their main defensive veterans because I think they could still be mainstays on the team when they're competitive again, and I don't think DeAndre Hopkins will have any takers towards the deadline based on how he's been playing. But we'll have to see. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.